I don't know why they make those car seats so low to the ground. Must have been made by women. Hi.
I came across this video from Kinganda, and it spoke of the unfortunate situation that's happened to several young ladies that went to Gambia, presumably to find mates if not husbands. It speaks to the difficulties of the translation of certain parts of American culture overseas. Looking in the comments, I found some familiar views that are pervasive in America that I could instantly see as problematic had these ideas been carried overseas with these unfortunate young ladies.
Passport bros have been so quiet, but I just heard they're over there you guys left and right in Colombia. Y'all better learn how to take a woman out on a date here. And be nice.
One of the top comments reads, "This is so heartbreaking. Sisters, please stay away from these impoverished men." And a variety of responses.
So they got their passports and they were like, we can find docile and submissive women in other parts of the world. You know, all we got to do is go out there and just tell them we're American and, you know, they'll swoon on us and they'll woo us. And passport bros are getting...
One, Pan-Africanism has left us. I agree. This is always a problem. Someone like you, of course, disagreeing with it.
There's a travel advisory out there now. Y'all be safe, gentlemen. Okay? They don't want you. We don't want you. Try doing better. Okay? It's not about the women being more submissive. It's about you actually giving them something to follow.
So Pan-Africanism includes hooking up with men that make 10 times less than you and being in solo journeys. Please be realistic. Of course, these replies reflect something that...
See, that's what y'all getting. Y'all thought y'all was gonna finesse them girls out they draws and or they hand in marriage when they got a daddy, a uncle, a brother, and a cousin. Sir, now you've been finessed out your money and your life.
A second, more liked response reads simply, "Women stop dating these poor men," which of course alludes to the fact that in America, when a man is not making a certain amount of money, it's all fair to call him a dusty. But this is something that doesn't play in many other places, which unfortunately some young ladies are learning in a way that is quite unfortunate.
I think this is hilarious, so much so that the government got to get involved, because 23 to 28 of you suckers was in the month of November alone. I think keep flying, passport bros. Fly over there to another country, because guess what? Your family can't sue their family. Your family can't get justice for you, because what's going to happen?
For anyone that makes the decision to spend a prolonged amount of time overseas, you have to confront the fact that there's a possibility that you'll be overseas when your heart stops beating. But that's just part of life, because wherever you are, somewhere your heart's going to stop beating. It's just a morbid reality of life. But in this particular situation and the variety of responses that you see that seem to not translate very well for young ladies looking to go overseas, there's an interesting way of looking at the back and forth that we're having, and it reminds me of an episode of The Cosby Show.
Hi, everybody.
It's hard to find a game that will inspire hotter debates than the game of Uno. Of course, there are the directions that are in the box, but there are also the directions that are played in real life. And one thing that happens in Uno is it can be unusually cruel at times, where you can end up with an extraordinary number of cards and people get to the point where quite simply they want to quit.
Big O! Oh! I am pushing! Oh, it's big O! Oh!
We all know this situation in Uno where someone puts down their second to last card and they say Uno before getting caught, and someone on the other side of the table has a hand that looks like this. And of course we know what the aftermath of these cards being played looks like.
Take it out! Take it out!
Sports car!
You would need some type of a reset with that. I mean, I don't want to use that word reset because people are very sensitive about that.
Well, you would have to have a different culture, and who are the transmitters or the teachers of culture to human beings? Mainly
the women.
And if the women don't want to be wives, I didn't come to this decision lightly. I mean, our women have been talking about dating out and divesting and swirling for the longest. And as I'm listening to women, my generation and older, and they're not teaching their daughters anything about relationships or marriage, they're teaching them independence, going to get your bag and take care of yourself. You can't have men stay culturally loyal to women who don't want to be wives to their very men.
Of course, we all recognize the voice from Pablo Frescobar's stream. It's the late Kevin Samuels. And he's speaking of a dating situation for many young men where when they're looking for wives, they're finding a dating pool of young ladies that have been influenced by Sure 7. And they're trying to get the bag. And it may either be through their own doing or they're looking for a relationship under which they can get the bag instead of building a relationship and a family. In a way, it's kind of like a game of Uno, but it's a different kind of game of Uno, and Pablo's going to explain it for us.
What did she say? You would have to change the culture. The only way you can do that, is with some new women. You can't do it with those who don't want to change it, who like it the way it is. And why wouldn't they like it the way it is?
This is where Pablo Frescobar makes his brilliant analogy that is akin to having a strong hand of cards in the game of Uno. If you had a strong hand of cards in Uno, you want everyone to keep playing. You don't want people to quit. And it's here where Pablo makes his brilliant analogy.
I tell guys all the time, I said, let's reverse this. Let's flip it.
Get off the tape.
Black men are now black women and black women are now black men. You get to have sex with as many women as you like. There's no shame. No one's going to come down on you. You can impregnate as many as you can. You don't have to pay a dime. Matter of fact, they have to pay you. Every time you knock one of them up, they got to pay you. There is no stigma against you, quote unquote, marrying them, having to marry them. All you got to do is get knocked up. And either you'll get a check from the government or you'll get a check from the man, from the woman herself. Remember, we reversed this. Now, men, you can go out and knock up a bunch of chicks. And now you can get paid either way. Or if you choose to marry, you could take half of her stuff, have a few babies, and when you get tired, you ready, you want some new newtsy, you want some new yams, you can go out, you can divorce her and get some new ones. Would you change? Would you Negroes want that situation to change? If you had it the way they have it, what would you do? I know this. You could go, them chicks could go Passport Sis all they wanted. They could go to Jamaica and get on the raft. They could go to Italy. They could go to Ghana. They could go to Ghana. They could go to the Gambia. They can go all of those places. I'm staying right here. And I'm gonna talk shit about them the whole way while I get me some new chicks to knock up. That's what I'm gonna do.
Doctor, we're having a problem here. No, Cliff, you're tensing, honey. You're tensing. I want you to breathe. Come on, inhale and push.
The thought experiment that Pablo suggests begs the simple question: what would it be like if instead of praising single mothers, we were praising single fathers? And not responsible single fathers, but single fathers who were on purpose having children outside of wedlock. What would we say of men that were saying, I'm strong, independent, I don't need no woman or need a wife to raise our kids? What would it be like if men who were irresponsible with their seed, or better yet, men who were purposely being irresponsible with their seed, were not only freed of the threat of going to prison or child support, but were getting rewarded with state resources or resources from the women they were impregnating? It would create a different dynamic. The point that Pablo makes in this thought experiment is if you have an environment that's rewarding a certain type of behavior, then you would get very different outcomes. In this case, you would get more men being more irresponsible and behaving in a way that would not be conducive to community building. Because as we know, the overwhelming majority of young guys under 30 are not in relationships or dating. And if you consider the numbers between dating age to 49, most black men still don't have children yet. This is a situation that simply is breeding.
I'm going to talk about them. Tell them how dusty they are. How nobody wants them. Well, go on and go is what I would say. Just don't talk about me while you doing it. Because I got a good thing going over here. No, you saying you wouldn't want it that way, brother, but there are a lot who would. They would take advantage of said situation and not bat an eye. Not bat an eye. Negroes are banging and knocking up chicks now, and they having to pay, not get paid. Imagine if they was getting paid.
And push. And push. Come on, push.
The Cosby Show used the idea that men having discomfort and pain with pregnancy and childbirth as a form of comic relief. What Pablo does in his experiment is ask if men had the same amenities from the effects and the outcome of childbirth, would men act in a very different way?
So if you're making $50,000, don't date. I'm just being for real. You're not ready to date.
Again, I'm with you. When
You're not ready to date. You're not ready to date because courtship costs. You might only make $50,000, but you live in a shoe, and now you got expendable cash. Or get you a bottom of the barrel that's gonna date you when you have no money.
According to the Global Percentile Income Calculator on the WashingtonPost.com, if you're making $25,000 a year US, you are in the global 94th percentile for annual income. And if you are making $50,000 a year, you are in the global 99th percentile for per person income. Quite a long ways from a global dusty. And this takes us back to our Uno analogy. If you had a very strong hand in Uno and the people around you that you were playing against were suspecting that you had a very strong hand, what would you say to them in order to keep them playing so you could have the satisfaction of ending the game very strongly, getting the outcome that you want? In a way, it would seem to me that there are many young ladies that are essentially playing the game of, this is the best place for you to date, and if you can't date here, then you're dusty, you're not a good enough guy, and you need to get yourself in better shape so that you can compete on the highest level. But what's really the case, in my opinion, is if the game is so that if you're unhappy, you can leave and you can take assets, or you can have a relationship inside of a marriage and leave the marriage and still not be penalized for it, either socially with shame or financially with getting to leave without taking some of the assets, along with the myriad of things that we discuss on a periodic basis in terms of why it's just a not optimal situation for most guys to date or get married, then you would have to do things to keep people playing the game with you. What's unfortunate for quote-unquote black love is if you listen to R&B music from the 70s or 80s, it's all about I'll be with you and love you through thick and thin. And that air seems to have worn off. And instead, it's become, I need you to buy me. I need you to be on a certain level to be in the room with me. And then on top of that, there's the risk of, if it falls apart, child support, alimony, future earnings. Even if people say you're dusty, you still got to pay. And for more and more guys, the math is just not mathing. And that Uno game is just a game that's best played somewhere else. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below. I'll catch you in the next video. Take care, guys.